it has become a little bit of a tradition that at the start of the year I do a little stab at Pantone's Colour of the Year. Last year I made a peach fuzz pixie hood, and in 2023 I made a Viva Magenta Tam O'Shanter. Naturally, let's make another piece of headgear with Mocha Mousse. In 2023 I used dyeing techniques. In 2024 I blended using 2 commercial yarns, but Mocha Mousse is the perfect color to actually blend some natural colors, some natural animal fiber colors together. Like this alpaca is nearly perfect, nearly. I think the one addition that would make it a perfect match to Pantone's Colour of 2025, the breed of 2025 as selected by the Dutch Living Heritage Institute. Zwartbles. Mocha Mousse is the perfect excuse for me to try a alpaca zwartbles blend, which is something that I have been wanting to do for quite a while, so thank you Pantone. And I'm standing here because of course we're doing it with Giant, the wool maker's drum carder. I think it's going to be mostly alpaca, but the addition of the zwartbles will also make the alpaca yarn a lot sturdier. Now, if this doesn't remind you of some kind of mocha flavored fluffy dessert, and I do not know what does. I passed them about 5 to 6 times through the drum carder so that they would be uniform. As in, there will still be some kind of variation in the yarn, but there will be no self-striping effects whatsoever. That's not what I wanted. I want a little bit of interesting variation, but not stripes. You get it? With this Mocha Mousse, Pantone wanted to create a color that exudes warmth and comfort. And I think it does, especially with these beds. It also kind of reminds me of like the wood veneer and wood paneling in 70s, 80s, early 90s houses. And that fits perfectly into my New Year's resolution of using my vintage magazines more. However, there aren't that much hat patterns in there. A lot of sweaters, but hats not so much. But I found this one that I quite like. It's super easy, super simple, but has like that interesting 8-3 rib. And I think the simpleness of this pattern will make the luxury of this fiber shine. A perfect example of what I mean with that warm vintage wood grain feeling is of course my wheel itself, which is I think an 80s or a late 70s wheel. And you're seeing the vibes, right? These are the vibes. I didn't weigh it, so I cannot tell you any percentages with any kind of exactness, but I would say this is about 2/3 of alpaca and 1/3 of zwartbles in this blend, which will give it the warmth, the feeling, the drape of an alpaca yarn, but the sturdiness of a woolen yarn. I hope, at least. That's the theory. go, that is that first bad spun up on a bobbin. I'm just going to spin the two bads, ply them together, see how much yarn that is, and then see whether or not I need to spin more. Maybe I'll even start knitting while we're at it. It's going to be just a go with the flow kind of video. But first, second bat. Now speaking of cozy, vintage, wood textures and colors, I have something I want to show you. Last weekend we had a belated Christmas celebration at my parents-in-law's house, and with the in-laws we do a secret Santa. However, apparently my husband was my secret Santa, and he found just the coziest, wood-grainiest, vintagiest thing ever in the thrift store for me. Look at her! Look at this cozy little lady spinning, and it's like roughly hewn piece of wood. I think this is something that, you know, someone, I would say like in the 70s or 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s were like craft revival in my region. I think it would be made around that time, probably to an older example, because when I Google reverse image searched this, I found a lot of very similar examples to the S's in her bag, like the creases in her clothing and the specific carving on her chair, but just not entirely the same person spinning. It is also not symmetrical, so that kind of gives me also the vibes that this is handmade. Yeah, I really like it. I want to incorporate this like in video background, but I'm not sure how, because I cannot, or I do not want to drill in this wall behind me, because that actually is some kind of photographic screen that was installed here by the previous owners. Yeah, I'm going to try and find a little spot for this warm, cozy wooden decoration. But let's continue on with spinning this delicious, lovely fiber while the rain is pouring down on the roof and everything is cold and grim. But this fiber, this color makes me feel very warm. Also helped by my fingerless mittens. If you haven't seen that video, I made a pair of fingerless mitts, especially to keep me warm in the studio. I will link it down in the description box and maybe also in one of the corners of the screen. Single number 2 is done. What this voice do? Let's ply. The people at Pantone actually also describe Mocha Mousse as like silent indulgence, which I think is also pretty fitting for this combination of alpaca and zwartbles, because it might not seem like the most luxurious of yarns, but I know from that description alone, ooh yeah, that's going to be indulgence indeed. But maybe not if there still is some hay in it. Even though you might have seen some other yarns already, this is officially my very first handspun skein, my very first handspun yarn of 2025. And I told you in my first video this year that I want to tally the meters that I spin this year, just to have an overall idea of how much one spins in a year. Therefore, I have now an empty little notebook and my favorite fountain pen, which I already have for about 15 years. And we're going to start keeping a fiber diary, actually. And then next to a log about the individual skein, I'm also making a list of all the skeins I will be making in 2025, where I also total the number of meters that I have spun. Like, hear me out, the skein is 214.2 meters, which means that there were 2 singles and 1 plying session of both 214 meters, which means that actually I spun for this skein 642.6 meters. And I want to tally that total at the end of 2025 and see how much meters of yarn, of wool, have been going through my fingers in a year. Well, we're now January 5th and it's already 642 meters. That's a good start, I think. I have wet finished and caked up our beautiful Mocha Mousse yarn. And now it is time to start knitting. And, well, we will start with a swatch. And if you're saying, Jente, this is a hat, you should swatch in the round. No, this hat is knit flat. This is a vintage pattern, we will do it in vintage ways. And we're casting on for real now. And if you are wondering, because I do oftentimes get comments about this, no, I did not knit this sweater that I am wearing myself. It is very beautiful. It is a great thrift store find. I have been finding a lot of these Norwegian-inspired sweaters for my husband. It's the first time I find such a good one for myself as well. We are a couple of centimeters in, and I just want to check in again, just to appreciate the beautiful heathering that this yarn creates. Can you see it? Or maybe I should zoom in a little bit closer. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. I thought this was going to be a really quick project. Spin a bit, knit a bit, bish bash bosh, video done. No, I haven't even finished the first instruction of the pattern, and this is all the yarn that there is left. Let's spin some more. Yep, I feel like this is a close enough match that I can try. Or not even try. I'm just going to spin it. Spin or spin not, there is no try. Now, to have a consistent yarn to what I already have, I want to spin on my same wheel, my Louet S71 Jillian. However, as you can see, the bobbin is not empty. This is what I spun during that spinning demo in the kindergarten. It's just a single, not really a consistent single either. I'm going to chain ply this so that I have little skein and this is out of the way. This would probably entirely blow those kindergartens' minds. I have also learned from the kindergartners that my wheel looks like the oar of a pirate ship. That's cool, that's really cool. And of course this little silly bit of yarn also gets an entry in my fiber diary and it gets tallied to the 2025 total. This bed effectively is the last of the brown alpaca that I have washed and prepared and ready. So this spin better be enough for the hat. I'm going to divide this bat in two, approximately. And each bit is a bobbin. Now I think the reference that the kindergartners made to my wheel in regards of being part of a pirate ship also has to do with that warm, wooden, old-timey feeling of the color of my wheel, which is the Mocha Mousse, you know, the color that we're trying to replicate with this yarn as well. You know, it just makes us feel of old-timey, wooden, fantasy, warm things. like a pirate ship. Skidoosh! Bish bash bosh! I can start knitting again. Because I managed to match this yarn again. Oh yeah! Also, this yarn and then the silly little chain ply that I did made it so that in my calculations, my tallying for 2025, when I count all the singles and plying sessions that I did, I have already, if my camera wants to focus, come on, over 1 kilometer of yarn that has gone through my hands, and it is only February 9th. Yes, my table is very dirty. I have just been working with alpaca, don't you see? But the numbers are tallying like really quickly, even though there are like super small mini skeins in here of 12 and 26 meters. Yeah, cool, really cool. It is a truth universally acknowledged that whenever I finish my Pantone challenge project, it snows. It is the lightest dusting of snow ever, but there is snow. But I do think that you, just like me, realize that this is not it, right? I did a gauge watch, I did the good thing, but it is still way too big for me. So I hope... Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Does this fit you?
Does it fit me? I guess it does.
Hey!
Woo! Got a new hat?
Got a new hat? Luckily, Mocha Mousse is a pretty gender-neutral color, so I can pass this way too big hat on to my husband, who is always happy when I make him stuff. During the second spin of this Mocha Mousse alpaca zwartbles blend, I spun a little bit too much, more than what I needed to finish the hat, so I think I might make, not a hat, that's not enough, but a headband to be matchy with my husband. That would be superbly cute, I think. And at least that is a way how I get to enjoy the luxury that is the alpaca zwartbles blend. How do you like this year's Pantone Colour Mocha Mousse, and what do you think about the project that I made with it? Is it the right yarn? Is it the right way to achieve said color? And what should I do with my Mocha Mousse wooden decoration? Give me inspiration, please, because I cannot drill in this wall. Anyway, I actually don't know how to finish this video. I think I have said everything in the course of this video. Watch it again if you think you might have missed something. Anyway, if you like these kind of fiber shenanigans, then maybe you could like, comment or subscribe, but of course that is all up to you. And as for me, I will see you in a next video, but before we do that, here are some more spinning and knitting shenanigans. Bye!